right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Morgan Zients. I'm the Senior Product Education Manager here at Jotform. Welcome to 4 Easy Ways to Digitize Your Nonprofit and Improve Efficiency. Today, we are looking at the benefits of having a digital-first approach to managing your nonprofit and some of the ways that you can go and start making that transition. To start things off, here's a quick preview of what we're going to be talking about today. So I will start by going over what digitization means. It's such a hard word to say. I'm going to try not to stumble over it every time. What digitization means and why it's important. We will also explore 4 ways that nonprofits can get started with digitization. And we will close out with a demo of Jotform's Enterprise Teams feature, as well as some time for live questions. I do want to mention, please feel free to share your questions at any time today. My colleague James is on the line with us. He is here to answer questions at any time. There is no need for you to hold them until the end. You will see the space for questions underneath the slides here today. And also wanted to mention that underneath me, you'll see a number of resources related to today's presentation. You can click those at any time. And also, if at any time today, as I'm going through our session, you want to talk to somebody from our enterprise team to learn more about Jotform Enterprise, on the right-hand side of the slides, you will see a box where all you need to do is hit send, and that will go right off to our team. You can minimize, maximize, or move any of these. That won't change anybody else's experience with the platform, so please feel free to do that so you can focus on what you need to focus on today. And all that being said, let's start with the actual content. So first things first, I want to define what we mean when we say digitization. Today, for our purposes, I'm defining that as the process of converting physical materials as well as processes into digital formats. To give you a better idea of what that looks like, first, here are some examples of some materials that could be digitized. If your organization uses any printed materials at all with your members, donors, volunteers, corporate sponsors, or the community that you serve, those can be converted into online forms. They can be forms like membership applications, volunteer sign-up forms, on-site consent waivers or sign-ins, and donation forms, and that's really just scratching the surface of what might be included in the paperwork that you manage day to day. As for processes, again, you can also digitize those as well. Those forms are probably just one piece of some other bigger thing that you're doing. Let's say your organization has a workflow that requires multiple people to sign a document. If you're doing that manually, you need to track people down, you need to wait for them to sign, you need to pass it off to the next person. But if you're doing that digitally, each person can sign, and then the document is automatically sent to the next person, and each step of the process is recorded. That's one example, but again, I'm sure you have many others. There can be things like collecting and reporting on donations, gathering waivers for everyone that's attending an event. Again, any of these processes can be managed digitally. So now let's talk about some of the benefits of digitization. One of the biggest benefits is increased efficiency. Now, any nonprofit I've spoken to has mentioned that you have limited time, limited resources, whether those are financial resources or personnel resources. And digitizing processes can free up a lot of time for staff or volunteers to do other more meaningful work for your organization. It can reduce the amount of time spent searching for a file or contacting people for things like those signatures that I mentioned in the last slide. Digitization can also improve communication by making it more convenient for people to share information with you, by having forms accessible to them online that they can fill out at any time across multiple devices versus by hand. And if you're using Jotform, you can even use our pre-fill functionality to pre-fill some of that information that you want them to share with you. So that makes it even easier for them to fill that paperwork out. Lastly, digitization can also help save you money on materials that are required when you are maintaining physical records like paper, physical file storage, postage, etc. Now that we've looked at the benefits and we've talked about what digitization is, we've talked about a couple of examples, we're now going to dive into those 4 ways that your nonprofit can get started with digitizing. So first things first, as you might imagine, you might want to start by digitizing some paper forms that you have. Any paper forms can be converted into digital forms. And again, one of the great things about online forms is that they make it considerably easier to collect data, but they also make it a lot easier to manage data and information once you receive it. You can also free up physical storage space. Jotform, for example, holds onto all of your data unless you decide to remove it. But you might also want to consider cloud storage tools like Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, etc., that make your records searchable so staff can quickly and easily find whatever it is that they need without having to dig through physical files. And of course, digitizing can also improve data security. You want to look for the platforms that you're using to have things available like encryption and single sign-on or SSO to maximize security. Those are two features that we include in our Jotform enterprise accounts. But if you'd like to review more of our security features, you can visit jotform.com/security. You can view the full list of everything that we have available within there, everything that keeps your data and information safe. If you're getting started with digitizing some paperwork, there are a number of ways that you can do that. It might be buying a scanner. Most smartphones will have access, or I think all smartphones have access to apps that you can use to turn physical paper into PDF files. Online form tools like Jotform can even take that a step further. So with Jotform, you can take a PDF that you have, a static PDF, and you can turn it into a form. The system will do that for you. And with that, anybody that's accessing the form to fill it out, it has the benefit of being able to fill it out very easily in that form format online whenever they can or whenever they need to. But you'll still have your records in the PDF format that all of your other records are available in. So you have some consistency there. All right, as you also might have imagined, the second way that you can get started with digitizing is to think about digitizing your processes. What's tied to the forms that you're digitizing? Your organization may rely on things like calling, email, and meeting people to get things done. For example, you might have to manually forward emails to somebody to confirm that a process or step has been completed. Of course, that might not seem like a lot each time. You might take a couple of seconds, but when you're adding that up over and over and over again, it really does take a lot of time out of, again, what we imagine is already a pretty full schedule, pretty limited resources, and it really slows processes down. You can cut down manual processes by creating automated digital workflows. That way your staff can focus on more important things and not sweat the small stuff, like we've talked about a bit already. Automating workflows can help you manage tasks and projects, collect e-signatures and approvals, and handle internal communications. And again, that's just to sort of scratch the surface on what you can do. As far as how to go about doing that within Jotform, we have a number of tools that can help manage really any process as well. Any process. We have Jotform workflows, where you can build a workflow into any form and send it through a process. We have Sign for collecting e-signatures. We have apps where you can collect multiple forms and other information in one place. And digest emails that you can send to anybody on your team to get updates regularly and improve communication throughout your organization. One example of a Jotform user that has found some benefit in using Jotform Enterprise to help keep communication moving throughout the organization, as well as digitizing some of their processes, is the nonprofit UXI. You can see an image of them on the right there and a little information. A case study about UXI is also linked in your resources as well. So they use Jotform Enterprise to develop their own app where they and workflows into their forms, where they can take a process that was previously done by really one person and make it so that anybody in their field, anybody that works with them, can complete this process. UXI provides vision care for people in remote, underserved areas, and the organization used Jotform apps to create an instruction manual on how to do their mobile vision testing so that field workers can conduct eye exams for anybody. Anybody with the organization, again, can do this. Field workers can also generate eyeglass prescriptions and have instructions on assembling glasses on location. Okay, third thing, we are moving into how to expand processes in digital operations. You can do that even more with integrations. Integrations connect different software programs together so that you don't have to manually transfer information from one to another. Again, manually transferring data might not seem like a lot each time you do it, but when you add it up, it can take up a lot of time overall. And again, any time you're doing manual entry, that is an opportunity for human error as well. So it can be really helpful to get those integrations in place, seamlessly share data, take the manual process out of it. One example of that is to take a a donation form that you have and integrate a payment processor into it. Something like PayPal, Square, or Stripe that can make it easier for people to give, as well as easier for you to manage donations over time. We see a quote on this slide from the Tinley Park Public Library. They are another Jotform enterprise user. They used to take donations and payments by check, but they started using Jotform and a PayPal integration to do that. And everybody involved has found that this is making their lives a lot easier. That goes from the staff as well as the people they're collecting money from. As for data management and sharing data to other crucial sites that you work with, you can integrate form submissions data with your favorite CRM software like Salesforce and HubSpot to manage donors and manage donor interactions over time. You can also integrate for communications like automatically sending thank yous or follow-ups with the help of a MailChimp or a constant contact integration. Last month or a couple of weeks ago, I did another webinar about technology and keeping donors engaged where I dove a little bit more into that. There is a link to that in the resources. That's what you're seeing linked at the bottom of this slide here. So if you'd like to learn more about how to engage donors with technology, I would recommend checking that out. Hopefully not right now, but at any time in the future. Okay, so last thing I want to talk about here is making your marketing and communications process digital, which can really help if you're looking to fundraise or recruit volunteers, as well as help your overall marketing and communication within your organization. Like I mentioned on the last slide, you can integrate with tools like MailChimp or Constant Contact. And with these kinds of tools, your nonprofit staff can segment audiences and personalize messages based on segment. So that way your staff doesn't have to spend time crafting the perfect email to each individual person, but you're still able to send something customized and personal to them. Otherwise, you might want to think about ways to share more about your organization, especially when you're working internally with people. One way to do that is with QR codes. Jotform forms and apps have a QR code generator built into them. So you can use something like that to make it very easy for people to access more information about your organization. Think about if you're doing a big volunteer event, like maybe it's a beach cleanup day, and there are a lot of people there because they're interested in what you're doing. Maybe you haven't worked with them before and you want to encourage them to keep in touch with you. So with that, you can take that QR code, post it at sign-in or checkout tables, post it at a water tent, wherever, share it everywhere. That way people can take out their smartphone, take a picture, or open their camera to scan that and easily connect with you and be able to stay connected with you in the future. You can pull all of your links or multiple different links, as I mentioned, into one place with mobile apps. If you don't have resources for IT staff, simple no-code app builders like Jotform apps, among others, are a really great idea to be able to easily do this without any coding experience needed to manage any of it. You can create an app specifically for your volunteers or specifically for donations or staff resources or really anything that you want. You can even create a donation app that makes fundraising very easy. Maybe you even include things like a PDF of your most recent report or lessons from the field or images from the folks that you've served. You can do all of that in one place, making it easier again to get donations and stay connected, make people aware of your mission and what it is your organization is doing. Of course, marketing strategies also take a lot of collaboration, and this is where we have some internal communications. Collaboration can be hard if not everyone is on board and has access to the same materials. And I wanted to mention this because this ties in very nicely to the demo that I'll be doing today. So this is one place where the Jotform Enterprise Team Workspace comes in handy. You can build shared workspaces for your nonprofit staff, so members can make forms, share assets, view donations, etc., all in one place, and everybody has access to that. However, admins can also customize permissions levels that everybody has and assign roles, so maybe something like staff members don't have the same access as volunteers, for example. The workspace additionally includes access to all of your data and your project management, like workflows, like Jotform boards, et cetera, for streamlined task management, tracking, everything that you need to do in your organization. Okay, so we have talked about what digitization is, why it's important, and some ways to get started. That might be a little bit overwhelming, especially if you were brand new to the idea. I'm guessing some of you, most of you are somewhere in the process of already having some digitization in place, but depending on where you are, that can be, this was a lot of information. To jumpstart that process and make things a little bit easier, step-by-step guides, first, it might be useful to conduct a tech audit for your organization where you review the processes that you have in place already and think about what maybe isn't working very well and what could be made more efficient. So for example, if you find that it takes too much time for a volunteer to pull information out of a filing system, maybe it's time to digitize all of that. We have a white paper linked in the resources below, and that's also what you're seeing linked here on the slides, that talks about how technology can transform things for nonprofits. And one of the pieces of that is how to conduct a tech audit. So if you are interested in learning more, I absolutely recommend checking out that white paper. Once you've done your tech audit, that's a good time to get overwhelmed by everything you can change. But instead of getting overwhelmed, try to focus on one or two things that you can do to get started. So maybe that's starting with low-hanging fruit, like a PDF you already have that you want to pull into Jotform and turn into a form. Or maybe it's something that's really impactful, like digitizing your fundraising strategy so that you can gather more donations, you can share more information with donors to encourage them to stay in touch with you over time and share more about your mission. You can even better manage donations and reporting on donations over time if you do that. So two different approaches to getting started. Maybe you have low-hanging fruit that would also be very impactful. As you evaluate different software or platforms that you might consider, think about what's going to work best for your organization's needs, of course. We actually, I was part of evaluating a new software platform last year, and I started by making a list of what it was that I didn't like about the initial software that I wanted to improve, and I broke that down into must-haves and nice-to-haves. That was really useful as I went through evaluating new systems so I could figure out which ones checked all of my boxes. So that can be a really good starting point. Once you have new software or new processes or whatever it is, also make sure you get your staff on board. That can mean creating your own step-by-step guides where you define your process and you spell out how to use it. That can help your organization know what your processes are and can make it easy to train people. And keep in mind that most software will also have access to their own academy or other training resources in place as well. Okay, so all that information now thrown at you. At this point, I'm going to go out into Jotform and we will start our demo. I do see a question already about whether or not we'll get a replay. Absolutely, you should receive the recording for this a little bit later today. I also see a link that the link to the webinar from last month isn't working. I will double check that. If I need to correct that, I will. I'll make sure that's included in your email message when you get the recording. I have a sense that it may just be asking you to log in, but yeah, we'll confirm that. But yes, absolutely, you will get a replay. Okay. Now let me go ahead and share my screen and we will go out into Jotform for our demo. All right, so I mentioned that today's demo is going to be focused on Jotform teams. I'm going to show you how to create a team, how to add people to that team and manage other team settings. And we will also look at adding and creating assets within a team. Before I do that, I want to describe what we're seeing here. So this is my workspace. I'm logged into my account and this is what I see when I log in. I wanted to start here for a couple of reasons. So first, I noticed that the majority of people who sign up for this session are Jotform single user plan users already. So I wanted to show you that the enterprise experience looks almost exactly like what you're used to. One of the key differences in what you'll actually see in enterprise is the accessible team spaces. Otherwise, the system looks very similar when you get into the form builder, app builder, et cetera. That they all function exactly the same. I also wanted to start here because, again, I'm going to be focusing on showing you everything about teams, but if there are any concerns about individual space, I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that you do still have individual space in an enterprise account as well. And that's what we're seeing here. This is my workspace. You can see that on the sidebar. I've clicked on all here. And here we're seeing forms, apps, workflows that I've created that are not currently shared with anybody else in my organization. So if there's something that only you're a part of, a process that only you're a part of, or if you want to perfect an app before you share it with your team, you can absolutely do that. Okay, so now we're going to move into creating a team. You can do that over in the sidebar in the team workspaces. So here you can navigate among teams you're a part of or click create team. Also up here where it says my workspace is a drop-down menu, and you can do the same thing here, navigate among teams or create a new team. So I'm going to create a team. Few steps to get started. Pick an avatar and name the team. You can invite members from here. I'm going to come back to that in just a minute. So I'm just going to hit create. And now we have our very bare bones nonprofit team. I'm the only person who's a part of this currently. Now, when it comes to team settings, by default, I am an admin for the team since I created the team. So that means that I have full control over everything that happens in this team space. That means as far as assets, so forms, apps, etc., I can add, I can delete, I can change whatever I need to do with those. I also have access to all of the team settings. So that means adding or removing people, members of the team, viewing people's usage over time, and more. So all of that is in the upper right-hand corner of the banner. So we see the team banner here. Right here, I can hover over this to see who are team members and what role they have. And if I click on that, you'll see I have the option to invite more members from here. I can also invite members from right here as well. When I invite members, there are two ways to do that. So one is by link and one is by email. By link, if you click this private button here or settings, you'll be able to define a user's role from there. And in email, right next to where you're going to enter their email, you have the same option right there. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and add my colleague Lauren to the team. Now I can come here and choose what access Lauren will have. So again, Lauren can be added as a team admin where she'd have the same level of access I do to all assets and all operations for the team. If I just want Lauren to have access to all of the assets, she can be added as a data collaborator. If I need to limit access for any reason, I have two options for limiting access. So one is a data viewer. That's somebody that can view data and access data, but can't make any changes to forms or apps or anything else in your team. And one is a creator who can view and edit, create forms, whatever, but they can't view the data. So a couple of examples of that, maybe you have a large organization where you have regional volunteer leads and they connect with other volunteers in the area. Maybe you add them as a creator so they can help with facilitating the collection of information from other volunteers, but they don't have access to view that data because there might be some sensitive information in there. For data viewer, maybe there's somebody on your team who's typically responsible for reporting on donations or the number of volunteers and how your organization is growing over time. That person maybe is a data viewer where you can keep your forms protected from one other person having a hand in them, but they still have access to all of the data they need to do their work. So I will go ahead and add Lauren as a data viewer. We'll send invitation and that will go out. As soon as that goes out, you can see the invitation is sent. We see the role that Lauren's been assigned. You can see that I can continue to invite new people as well. So now if I come here and click on that, I see Lauren's been added. I can change Lauren's access since, again, I'm an admin. I can remove them from the team as well. And I can continue to invite more members. I can also invite more members here. And next to that button is the team settings, that little gear icon. When I click on that, that brings up the full settings menu for the team. Now, I do want to be clear, this is specific to the team. So if you are an admin on your enterprise account, you have other like global settings. This is specific to my nonprofit team. If you are familiar with the admin dashboard, this is sort of like a mini version of that, again, specific to this information. So a number of things on here. I'm not going to go into full detail about all of this, but I did want to show you where you have team settings. You can change the look and feel of your team at the top. So you just want to click this like little icon on the avatar. You can click change color for other image and color options. In general settings here, among the other options, you can change the URL. So not the base URL that is assigned to your organization, but you can change the team URL. Actually, team members, this is another place where you can edit or remove people from the team. Again, only admins have access to any of what you're seeing here, so admins can take those actions. In security, if there's any reason that you need to turn off some basic security features for the team, like not requiring people to log in to see submissions, you can do that there. And then system logs here will be a record of anything that the system is sending out, like a thank you email that goes out when somebody submits a form. Team activity log and team visibility are, in my opinion, the most important parts of this. So I saved those two for last. In the activity log, this is where you'll see a record of all activity happening within the team. So this is where you get full oversight into what's going on within the team as an admin of the team. There's not much in here. It doesn't look like much currently because I just created this team, but over time, this will grow. Any action that's taken will be added. So you can search, you can download all of this data, you can narrow down by time range, you can search just a particular user's activity or a particular type of activity from like form creation or deletion all the way through like team slug change, team privacy changes, so the administrative changes. So for example, if you're finding that a certain form is getting changed a lot and you're not really sure why that's happening, you can look at all of the form changes that have come up, narrow it down to see who's making those changes, and then if you need to follow up with them, you can easily do that. Team visibility, again, is the other, I think, most important thing in this page. This is where you can control how your team appears to the rest of your organization. So by default, anyone in your organization, so anybody in your Jotform Enterprise instance, any other team members, will be able to see your team as well as see the assets that you have within the team, but they can't do anything with those assets. If you want to make it so that your team is visible, but the assets aren't, you can toggle this off. And if you need to go an extra step further, like maybe for an HR department or other like personnel management, and you want to hide your team entirely so it's not visible to the organization, you can make that private. Now, what does this actually look like? So up here in the upper right-hand corner in the white bar along the top, anywhere within the site, you'll see all teams. That will show you all of the teams for your organization. So you can see we have almost 500 teams here. Now, I, as a user in this organization, can come and view any of these teams. So for example, I can hover over this team 36 here. I can view their workspace and I can see this form. I could even fill it out as if I were a form user, but I don't have any other access to it. I can't edit it. I can't view data, nothing like that. If I do collaborate with this team, and I think I should be able to do some of that, I can request to join and one of the admins will have to approve me. Here, in addition to organization teams, you can also click on My Teams to see the teams that you specifically are a part of. So here we can see my nonprofit team. I'm looking at my own teams, but if I go to organization teams and search nonprofit, we'll see that there are no nonprofit teams visible, and that's because I've made that team private. All right, so I'm going to click the Jotformers logo here to go back to my team landing page. That logo will take you back to whatever the landing page was that you were on previously. So we're back in my nonprofit team. We have looked at creating the team, adding people, and managing some of the settings. But no matter how many people you have, a team is not super useful without any assets in it. So the last thing I want to show here is how to add assets. You do see that option in the center of the page. Since I don't currently have any assets, that will disappear as you start adding things. So you will always be able to access that with the Create button at the top. If you are familiar with Jotform, either as an individual or enterprise user, this functions exactly the way it would if you were doing this in your own personal workspace or on your own account. And that also goes for navigation over here. So here I can view favorites, archive, or trash for my nonprofit team. For now, I'm going to hit create, and that will create something in my nonprofit team. So let's say I want to create an app. I'll use a template in this case. I'm not going to create from scratch. I can come here and I can search nonprofits team, so nonprofit templates. Let's say I want to use this activism app. I'll go ahead and click use template. That will clone a copy of the template into my account. And from there, I can edit it however I need It won't affect the template. It will just make it more personalized for my organization. That will take a couple of seconds. And as soon as that is done, it will redirect us to the app. So from here in the app, I get a live preview over here. I can see what this looks like to users. I can navigate up here and let's say, I want to see what forms are included in here and what that looks like to users. So I have this Save the Tigers form. I can also edit this app however I need, as mentioned. So the app design is on the right and elements are on the left. So you just drag and drop whatever additional elements you might need. You can swap out your header or logo at the top. If we scroll through this, you can see some examples of what's included in this app. We have a join button that I imagine links to some sort of registration form. We have a donation form linked, a volunteer sign up form. We are selling a product here. There's an image carousel here where people can see images related to the organization, social media icons. These are all donation forms and more, even a map at the end. So pretty full app. Again, this could be shared with a QR code so that people know how to follow up with this organization over time. Okay, once more, I'm going to hit the Jotformers logo. And now when we go back to my team, we're going to see that Activist app has been added, as well as the forms that are included in that app. So now I, as an admin, can do whatever. Anybody who has the, which level of access is it? I want to make sure I'm not saying the wrong thing. Anybody who is a data viewer would be able to see data associated with this, and creators would be able to make any changes to any of these forms or the app as well. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? Okay, so we have added things by creating up here. Another option to add things to your team is to go back to your workspace and move them over, as I mentioned earlier. So if you wanted to perfect something before moving it in, you can do that. So I'm back in my workspace. I can click this donation app, and up at the top, there are a number of options, one of which is move to team. I'll choose which team to move that to and confirm. And that is going to gray all of that out. So that's the app and associated forms. Those will now disappear. And now if I go to the nonprofit team, we will see that that app and those forms have been added to that team. Similarly, if I needed to move them back to my workspace for any reason, I could do that as well. So I'll move, and we see them grayed out. They go back into my personal space. Okay, last thing I want to talk about is your data management, data access, and workflow and project management access from here. If you click on any of these forms, again, you do see options at the top or over here of what you can do with them. And along the top, you see some of the data management and project management highlights. Submissions will take you to the table where you can see all of the donations that have come into this form. Reports would take you to a report of data from this form. You can create that in a matter of seconds within the system. And boards is a brand new tool that we have for project management functions, like any project management tool, where you can manage which step of a process something is in. Since I created these right now, there's no data in there. So I'm going to go back into my personal workspace to give you a better sense of what those look like. And this will be the last thing that I'll show. Then we'll go back to the slides. I'll cover those resources in a little more depth, and we'll have time for live questions. So now, just again, to give you a sense of your data management, and what people on your team have access to, I've clicked on this. I can view submissions. So again, this is the table of all of the donations that I've gotten to this form. Tables get created automatically when you create a form. So each column is one field from the form, and each row is a full response. And you can also add on to tables as well. So these are fields that I've added to help with project management and note keeping for this form. I've also created a report from this form. This one doesn't look like much. It's not the most exciting set of data, but again, this takes about 30 seconds to create. You can fully customize from there, and it automatically creates charts and graphs based on the fields that you have in your form. And then lastly, we have boards here. So let's say in this case, I want to make sure that somebody in my organization follows up with anybody who's donated $100 or more. Anytime somebody donates, they're going to get added to the backlog. If they've donated less than $100, I can move them to don't follow up. We don't need to worry about those people. If they've donated more, I can move them to please follow up. Maybe I want anybody on the team to be able to jump in and follow up with those people. So let's say the first person in the morning comes in and clears the list here. As they follow up, they can then move them to the done following up. I've created these categories. You have full flexibility over, what you do with them, what they look like, and how you move them through the process. But again, as part of a team, other team members do have access to this as well. Okay, so once more, hitting Jotform is to go back to my personal workspace here. So just to recap that, you can access all three of those tools that I just showed you. When you are in your team, you click on any form and you see submissions, that's the table. Reports would be any report that you've created, and boards would be a board that's associated with that, where you can do some of the project management. All right, that is everything I wanted to show. So let's go back to slides. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Let me just cover some of those resources that we have, and then we can take some more questions if there are any more questions. Okay, so the resources, again, these are linked in the console underneath where you're seeing me. We do have the links to those webinars, and again, we will confirm that those are both accessible to you. I apologize for any trouble in accessing any of those. I will note that if you are accessing them in On24, you will have to just enter your name and email to register to view that. But if it's on YouTube, you can view that without. So I think one of those is on On24 and one is YouTube. There is the white paper. That white paper, Technology for Nonprofits, includes the information about how to conduct a tech audit. So very, very useful for moving forward and starting to digitize more and figuring out where you want to start. And then we have some case studies. I talked about UXI, that is the nonprofit that does the lens evaluation, and Career Path Services I didn't mention, but another great resource for nonprofits. So I would check those out as well. Okay, so if you have any additional questions, again, we do have a couple of minutes now. I do see that there are some, and I do know that James has been answering. So once again, I want to reiterate, you will get the recording to this session. It should be a little bit later today, if not early tomorrow. You can always connect with me if you have any questions. I'm Morgan at Jotform, Morgan at Jotform. And also, if you are already an enterprise user, your enterprise dedicated support is always there for you. If you are a Jotform user that is not an enterprise user, you can go to jotform.com/contact for our general support as well. So I do see a question about the cost for nonprofits and if there are any discounts. So yes, there are discounts. I believe you can just Google Jotform nonprofit to find more information about that. I think it's a 50% discount for individual users, and enterprise users maybe up to a 30% discount. If you are interested in Jotform Enterprise, you would probably want to reach out to our enterprise team to learn more about that. So that would be jotform.com/enterprise, and you can see more about what's included in enterprise and contact the team from there as well. And again, just want to mention on the right-hand side, you do have that contact button there. So if you do need to get in touch with them right now, you can send off an email from there. Yeah, okay, a couple of questions. So will I be able to upload files? That's pretty easy to answer. Yes, absolutely. So anybody who's using your forms, there is a field in forms where you can upload files. Let me just pull up a form here. Well, I got to share my screen again for that. Give me 1 second. Okay, so, in this form, we have a form here. I've opened it in the form builder where I would be editing the form. There is an element on the side where you can ask for file uploads. So anybody using the form can upload a file from there, that PDF, Word document, whatever. Also, if you need to upload files for like managing any responses, that's possible as well. I'm not sure the context of this question, but I'm going to guess you're more focused on anybody using your forms or apps or whatever, uploading things. So yes, absolutely. Anything that gets uploaded here is also accessible and downloadable to you as somebody who is using the account. Okay, stop sharing that. Let's see what other questions we have. What are the project management features in Jotform? So yeah, so I think I talked about some of those. I'm not going to go back out, but boards is again brand new. If you would like more information about boards and how that all works, you can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/thejotform. And we had a webinar last month, as well as a number of short tutorials about that. So boards is one great option for project management. Another is workflows. Workflows you can build into any form, and that can be something like once somebody submits a form, you immediately send them a follow-up form, or you send that for approval within your organization. Again, if you go to our YouTube channel and search workflows or approvals, you'll be able to find more about those as well. And again, feel free to get in touch with me. I'd also be able to directly link you to any of these resources that I'm mentioning. But generally speaking, our YouTube channel is a great resource for all kinds of different video instructions. Somebody looking for a way to track volunteers by their skills and interests. Yeah, you can do any of that with a form. And in tables, when you are in tables, you also, again, with that reporting in tables, you can very easily see what responses have been given. So if you have like multiple choice that has 3 different options, you can create a chart based on that and easily be able to narrow down specific people with specific skill sets. I think I was just looking the other day at a nonprofit form template. So if you go to forms, the form template library, I believe I saw one in there that actually specifically asked that. So if that is something you're interested in, I would recommend checking out the template library. You can see kind of what other folks have already done or what we've created for volunteers, but there's definitely one in there that does kind of ask for interest. And again, you can use that to then go to tables and narrow that down and make sure that you're getting the right volunteer for any specific circumstance. Do we have like one more? I think. Okay, I think this might be the last question. So what are some of the best ways to manage customer donations as far as communication and incentives to promote engagement and participation? So for that, again, I'd recommend the session that we did last month that was specifically about keeping donors engaged over time. But an app is a great resource for that. So again, with a donation app, you can have a form for donations. You can have like, you donate this much, you get a free plushie or whatever. You can include things like that. Your app can also include links, again, to your most recent reports or a monthly PDF that you do. I also wanted to mention the email marketing integration. So again, there are a number of options for email marketing integrations. I've mentioned MailChimp and Constant Contact. There are several others. You can use that to build out your list. So anybody who fills out a contact form or an interest form automatically gets added to your list. And that can be a really useful way to keep in touch with people over time. I know nonprofits are always trying to grow and maintain their contact lists. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Really, there are a lot of options there and a lot of different ways that you can do that. So that's just a few. But again, feel free to get in touch with me and I'd be happy to discuss more. Okay, I think that is all of the questions that I've seen anyway. So on that note, I want to thank you all for being here today. Again, just one final confirmation. You will get the replay later today, if not today, early tomorrow. I will confirm that that webinar link is working. I apologize if it's not. If you have any questions and want to check in on anything, you can reach out to me, Morgan@jotform.com, or you can also check in with either the enterprise support team if you're already an enterprise user, or our general support at jotform.com/contact. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. I'm sure we will have more nonprofit webinars in the near future. So stay tuned for that. And hopefully I'll see you again soon. Bye.